Hi, everybody. This is Amanda from Taylor Transformations, and I have the lovely Geraldine with me here today to talk about all things well-being. So, Geraldine, would you mind just introducing yourself and telling everybody a little bit about what you do?
So, I'm Geraldine Crane and I'm a serene spiritual empowerment guide. And it always sounds such a mouthful but explain what it means. I work usually with women around mother wounds. So, I work with women who've had a harmful or a difficult relationship with their mother. And that tends to lead to deep wounds that cause things like people pleasing, never feeling enough, taking on the responsibility for other people's well-being, just tend to be really highly sensitive people who are really low self-worth and struggle to trust in themselves. So I use serene spiritual hypnotherapy and coaching, which is where we explore certain spiritual principles and ideas to help you to understand that you have control and you can take back, and that you have a deep inner divinity that you can plug into within yourself, and a deep power, and you can really change your whole experience of life. But I also use the serene spiritual hypnotherapy to help you to connect not just with your own inner divinity, but with your spirit guides, because they are an incredible source of unconditional love. And when you've had a harmful relationship with your mum, that's something that can be particularly powerful in helping you to heal and starting to really have a loving relationship with yourself. They kind of guide you to being very tender and kind and patient with yourself, which then leads to you having much happier, healthier relationships in all areas of your life. And it really enables you to just come out and be you. It's funny, I just did a review with a client I've just finished working with, and she said, your work just helps you to undo any blocks. She said, it's not just mother wounds, all sorts of blocks will come out. Anything that's stopping you from just being you and knowing who you are, and being able to step into your power. And I was just like, yeah, that's it. She just
That's
so succinctly
fantastic.
put it together for me. I was like, I'm pinching
Love
that.
it. Absolutely love
Yeah,
it.
it was absolutely wonderful. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And I know I'm in your group on Facebook as well, and I've seen all the
Yeah.
fantastic work and the things that you're putting out there, and it's such a difficult topic as
Yeah.
well to sort of cover, and I just think you
Mm.
just sort of really help people open up.
Mm. There's just a lot of stigma around it. It's one of those things of, it's all right for you to say your dad's done this or your dad's done the other, but if you say anything about your mother, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And there's this whole idea of she's given birth to you, so you owe her. And I think we've got it so the wrong way around. If you give birth to somebody, that's your commitment to look after them, not the other way around. And I'm afraid, and it's also a lot of pressure on women that we're supposed to be so perfect that we always get it right. We don't. And it's okay to then talk about these mother wounds. It doesn't mean your mother's evil. Your mother can be harmful, and that needs to be accepted. And it's giving that permission to put boundaries in place. I cut contact with my mum because that's the only option I had left in the end. If I wanted to be healthy and well, I had to do that. It's not something I actively encourage with all my clients. What I do encourage is for them to really love and honor themselves, and to prioritize their own well-being, and to put boundaries in place that enable them to do that, so they can get better and well and happy and peaceful more than anything.
Yeah.
Um, so it is really something I'm just very deeply passionate about, is removing the stigma, is enabling women, especially because it's something I see affecting more women than men, but by no means does it rule out men, but enabling them to really talk about it and to know that they're not alone. When I cut contact with my mum, it's an extremely lonely experience,
Yeah.
and it's, thank goodness, the majority of people have lovely mothers who do support them, or they have a relationship that's manageable and workable. And
Yeah.
so and people don't talk about it if they don't have a good relationship with a mum, because of the vilification you can get So I really see it's my job to just start the conversation and give you permission to say things aren't great with my mum, and I am struggling with this, that, and the other. It's caused these issues for me around not knowing who I am, not, holding myself back all the time, feeling guilty all the time, or shameful, or never feeling quite enough, because if I'm not enough for her, or like I have a lot of clients who are hyper independent, they just won't
Yeah.
turn to anyone for help because they never got anything from her, so they've just had to learn to take care of themselves, and that's not healthy either. So it's just, I want to start the conversation and remove the stigma, but also show you that you can heal,
Yeah.
that and that that you are loved. She might not have been able to love you in the way that you need, but that you are one with a very beautiful, loving universe that has your back, and it's there for you whenever you're ready to do the work and connect with it. It's just, yeah, something I'm deeply passionate about.
Absolutely. You can see that, and it's so needed as well. As you say,
Yeah,
that there isn't anything out there that
no,
actively encourages this at all. So I think
no.
what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and it's
Oh,
really
thank
helping a
you.
lot of people.
Mm.
So you've touched on it a little bit, but how did you get where you are today? If you could tell us a little bit more.
So, long story. Are you ready? Get comfortable. So I guess the best place for me to start is about 5 years ago. I lost what I thought was my dream job. I was working in a charity with domestic violence victims, women mainly, around their emotional recovery after domestic abuse. Not all violent partners, there was a massive range of abuses. And when I lost that job, the anxiety I'd been battling since I was very young really skyrocketed. However, I did realize at this point that just because this was triggering the anxiety, this was not where my anxiety had come from. So I'd struggled with anxiety since being about 8, I would say. Is the first memory I can have of having breakdowns. But I was my mum's carer from being 12. So I would support her with her physical needs, but also her mental health needs. She had quite severe mental health. So I would help her dress, help her wash, but I would also stop her when she was trying to self-harm. I would calm her down, generally calm her down by stroking her ego and telling her, yes, you are the victim and everybody else is wrong. But I started carrying around this very, very heavy weight of responsibility to keep her stable and well. And I, shortly after having children, had a counsellor who really helped me to see that.
Yeah.
But it was funny, it wasn't really until I started working with these domestic violence victims and really understanding all the different forms that domestic abuse can take,
Yeah.
and realizing a lot of it was way too familiar. So it was a combination of having that counsellor who was very good, very patient, and gently pointed me in that direction, and gave me permission to be angry, gave
Yeah.
me permission to put boundaries in place. Becoming a mother and seeing that she did things I would never do, never, and really struggled to understand for a long time. And then, yeah, training in the domestic violence, when they all came together, was when I started to see things really clearly. And just a couple of years before losing this job, my counsellor had said to me, why are you not furious with her? And that was a real turning point. But when I lost this job and I went downhill again, I went back to that counsellor, and she just said to me, okay, what would life look like without her in it? And my first response was, I can't do that. I can't do that. I love her. I can't do that. Okay, but we need boundaries in place. You're not well. This is not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was the third time I've been back to this counsellor. Something's got to change. And Christmas was just coming up. I was struggling to eat, struggling to get dressed. Anxiety was very high. I was losing my temper with my children. Something had to change. So we talked about okay, mum's supposed to be coming to spend Christmas with me, as is my mother-in-law. They didn't gel, and I knew it was going to be very stressful, and I was not going to cope with it. So I decided to ask my mum not to come. She'd spent last Christmas with us, my mother-in-law hadn't. So I wanted to give her this Christmas, and my mother had other options. So I asked her, I'm really not well. Can you go somewhere else for Christmas this year? And she screamed and screamed and accused me of this, that, and the other. And there was not a drop of consideration for me at all. Absolute complete disregard for my needs. And it was just like a bang in my head.
Shocking.
I am never going to get well with this energy in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized I'm never going to come first. I'm always going to be second. Half the time I was third, fourth. And enough's enough. This is just what kept going through my head over and over. Enough is enough is enough. And I text her and just said, I am really sorry it's come to this. This is not what I wanted, but I need you to stay away from me and my family. I want no contact. And I blocked her from everything. I mean, she could have turned up on my door or written to me, but every other avenue was blocked.
Yeah.
And it was huge, and it sent me on a massive healing journey, because the emotional roller coaster after that point, I was going from feelings of relief to guilt to joy to shame to deep grief to just pure joy, freedom, and I was just bouncing all over the place. So I had to take myself on a big healing journey. I went back to the counsellor. I was with her for a few months, trained as a hypnotherapist, got hypnotherapy. Our tutor did hypnotherapy around with me because I was absolutely terrified of bumping into her and what would happen. And Angela really helped me with that. I reconnected with my spirituality, and through hypnotherapy, because you go into such a relaxed state, it's so much easier to connect with spirit. So my spirit guides were coming through so much stronger. I'd been developing my mediumship since I was 19.
Okay.
Ironically, it was my mum who pointed me in the direction of spirituality, giving me all the tools I needed actually in the end to cut contact, ironically. So I'd been developing my mediumship over 20 years, but I never turned my back on it in any way, shape or form, but I just hadn't been focusing on it. And when I trained in hypnotherapy, trained with other people who were spiritual, there was a very spiritual element to the course, and doing the hypnotherapy helped me reconnect. So I then was setting up a business, doing hypnotherapy, very clinical, focusing on domestic abuse, things like that. Lockdown hit. So I let my business go quiet and realized I needed to get me as well as I could, because my kids were going through so much. It was really hard for them during lockdown, especially my son. My daughter, who's autistic, actually quite liked not having to go, but my son was really struggling with it. So I gave myself permission. Every day I let them go on their screens, and every morning I came into my therapy room and meditated, read card readings, connected with spirit, and I started sharing the messages I was getting through. I was getting a lot of messages of reassurance, and the response I got online was 99% positive. And I started realizing, I need to come out of the closet. So, and as I then started coming back to working, I was meditating, connecting with spirit before I was seeing the clients and getting a lot of guidance. That had already started coming in before lockdown, but it started getting bigger. And during lockdown, I got guided to connect with a spiritual coach, a gentleman called Peter Slay, who I absolutely adore, and had coaching with him around spiritual understanding called the 3 principles, which brought me so much peace, but also got me to I'm never one for sticking with one particular approach. I explore everything.
Yeah.
So then I started exploring all different spiritual approaches and started coaching. and bringing those through. And then that started influencing my hypnotherapy, and that's how my serene spiritual way of working developed. And it's just grown, but it slowly become clearer how much the mother wound stuff was coming up. I was attracting people naturally who had those issues. And then last summer, business went quite quiet over the summer. I let it go quiet because I'm afraid my mother-in-law was dying. And I needed to be more present with my family. But what I was doing was just still doing my social media. And the things that were really getting the attention, I suddenly had some stuff go viral on TikTok, was the mother wound.
Right.
And I then got a download from Spirit just saying, you heal the mother wound using the love of the universe. Because I'd always wondered, how do I help people with toxic relationships, but also do the spiritual work? And I realized that the spiritual work is how I help people heal.
Yeah.
And so that phrase then has formed everything that I do. If I'm doing something that is not helping me heal mother wounds with the love of the universe, I don't do it. So then I started working with the lovely Zoe Thompson, and she helped me to really get some structure to my business. And we came up with the idea for the Serene Way. I'd already been working with people through a serene method, which is where I take you through stillness, emotions, reconnection, energy, the power of now, and empowerment. I was doing this one-to-one. And now we've developed this whole online program, which has lots of pre-recorded content, but we have video calls and meditations and card readings. And it's a beautiful 7-step, 7-month program now. And that's a lot of the way my work goes. But I also do a Serene Spiritual Development course, which is just a short 4-week course to help people to connect with their spirit guides and really deepen that part of the healing journey. And that's really beautiful too. And often the people who do both, that's when we see the real profound shifts. I've seen one woman leave her husband and completely do a Yui with her business, completely transform her business, and she is flying. She's doing so well. I'm so proud of her. And other people are just really seeing them step into themselves. So it doesn't actually, once you start working with me, it gets less and less about mum, because it's not about her, it's about you. And it's, yeah, I could talk all day, sorry. I just love it.
Sounds absolutely amazing, and I can see the results that you're getting with all the
Mm,
wonderful feedback that you've had, and obviously
yeah.
being in the group as well, and even knowing some of the people that have worked with you that are
Yeah.
just absolutely life-changing. So
Oh, the group's such a beautiful place, the Serene Spiritual and Empowered group. It's a free community, just women, and the women are so beautiful. So I had one woman who got in touch, reaching out for help the day before my mother-in-law's funeral. And I have to be boundaried with myself. If I'm going to preach it, I got to live it. So I just said, I'm really sorry. I cannot help you right this moment, but put something into the group. Let people know you need some support. They will help. She got 40 responses. She got offered a reading. She got offered a healing. She got so much support. And I was able to then get in touch a couple of days later and check in, and she was doing so well.
fantastic.
It's that community that we've built. I'd say I built, but there's so many people in there that are such a big part of it. It's just beautiful, and it's the thing I'm probably most proud of, that and the Serene Way. Just the bonds between the women and the support, and even women who've never met each other, but they have that deep understanding of what it's like to not have a good relationship with your mum, and the understanding. And there's no comparison, because I've been in some toxic mum sites or narcissistic mum groups where it's my mother's worth and more, my mother did this, my mother did. That's not allowed in my group, because there is no better abuse or worse. It's just different. So we acknowledge it all, but we focus not on the mum. We focus on ourselves and healing and moving forward and celebrating. And like every Saturday, there's a please shout out, go crazy, tell us something you're proud of about yourself, because this is what it's about. Is this really, getting to know each other. And then the free readings that I do on a Friday,
I guess I've
The
definitely
energies,
partaken in them.
just the
Beautiful.
women that come and join me, because I can feel people's energies and doing the reading, and the women are just beautiful. I just love it. Love
And
it.
some beautiful messages that come through as well. I mean,
Mm,
and the
yeah,
difference just that small message makes to some of the people in the group is just
it's
amazing.
amazing. They I get a lot of people get in touch later or just afterwards and say, "Oh my God, it was this, that, and the other." I had a hilarious one the other day. It was I'd got a card, and the card meant something else, but I was very drawn to this wheat that was on the card. So it's just a picture of wheat, and I was like, "You really shouldn't be eating wheat. There's something here about your diet. Wheat's not good for you." She texted me later and was just like, I'm gluten intolerant, and she's, I'm celiac, something like that. And she said, "I just snuck some bread when there was nobody in the house, nobody could see me. I'm thinking I've got away with this, and then you tell me off."
Oh,
And
fantastic.
it's lovely, because it's just that when you work with spirit, even when you've been doing it a long time, you can start questioning yourself, and you doubt yourself. And it's been such a lovely experience doing these readings, because all I see is a name. And sometimes I do know some people I don't. And I just have to give what comes.
Yeah,
And it's never, I'm, there'll be some that'll be more vague than others, but there's never anybody gone, nope, nope, it's always, I've got wonderful feedback, and the wisdom that spirit give to me to share is just beautiful. And I'm very grateful for it. It's so funny, because sometimes I'll get certain clients I'm working with, and I'm like, I don't know how to help this person. And I just have to meditate on it, or just trust, actually, once I get going, things will come, that spirit will guide me on it. And they have never let me down. Not once. Not once. I had a phenomenal session with somebody the other day who we were doing a chakra cleanse, and she went off into a past life. And this is something you have to realize if you do hypnotherapy.
yeah.
You can end up going anywhere, and you've got to be ready to deal with it. And she went into this past life, and there was a daughter in the past life. And once she passed, she reunited with this daughter and realized this daughter was one of her spirit guides in this life. And it was really profound for her. Like, it was a massive experience. You could see she actually brought herself out of hypnosis, because she was just like, whoa. And we had to end the session early, but it wasn't in a bad way at all. It was just, I need to just go and be with this. It really had impacted on her. It was just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So you just never know where it's going to go with serene spiritual hypnotherapy, but it's beautiful. It's powerful.
So, taking all of that into account, can you pick a favorite part of your job? Is there possibly a chance any of that could be? Can you
Mm.
narrow it down to one?
I can tell you what my least favorite parts of my job are. There's always this, having to market yourself all the time gets tiring. Doing accounts is never fun. I've got a brilliant accountant, though. She's made it as simple for me as she possibly can, and I love it to pieces. But my favorite parts of the job, there's too many. I absolutely love what I do. I love the one-to-one work. I love getting somebody in my chair or on my screen, and just some of the most beautiful bits is quite often when I invite spirit guides forward, past loved ones comes forward first. Not always, but quite often. And it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so, like, the tears flow. I always say I make women cry for a living, because in fact, that woman has just got feedback from today, bless her. She was just like, I don't cry, you had me crying within minutes. I was like, yep, that's what I do for a living. And it's the biggest compliment, because it means they feel safe.
Yeah.
And that's my most important thing, is making people feel safe. But yeah, watching that connection with a past loved one or with a spirit guide is really beautiful. I love getting something or someone that they're scared of and using humor to twist it. So the lady I was working with recently had a school bully, and I got her to change it, and she just turned her school bullies into Sporky. the character from Toy Story. So when we were just doing a review, like I said to her, when you think about these bullies now, how do you feel? And she just burst out laughing. I was like, yes. So that when you see these transformations in people and see them growing, that is the best part. And when I do the groups, I love doing group work. I've always loved doing group work. As a probation officer, I did group work and I loved it. Because it's seeing the real, one person can ask you a question and it sparks off another, and you get these conversations, and the energy that you can get in a group can also help spirit come in and help me get so much more guidance and insight. And you see people having aha moments, and it's the bond between them. It's just wonderful. We always, when we start the Serene Way, we have at the meetings every other Wednesday, and the first 10 minutes is always just giggling at each other. There's that was one thing this lady said as well. She said, you do this deep work, but you make it fun. We laugh, and that really matters to me. I want you to go out the door feeling better. Sometimes you'll have done a lot of work and be knackered, but I want you feeling better. And one of my clients that's been coming to me the longest, she's just like, I always just float out here. I just float.
That's exactly the kind of feeling you want.
Yeah, it's beautiful. She literally skips down my drive when she leaves, and it's so lovely to see. So yeah, there's too many bits. I love it all. I love doing interviews and talking about it, and because I always get to talk to really interesting people all over the world. And the more and more people I can reach, so that they know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that as well. So yeah, I love what I do. Love it.
So talking about reaching people, are there any misunderstandings about your line of work that you just want to talk a little bit about? And
there's always misunderstandings around hypnotherapy, right?
Oh.
Always. We do not make people cluck like a chicken. There is always the misunderstandings that we put people to sleep. We do not. I've done a lot of work now with a very renowned hypnotherapist called Steve Burgess, and he gets really annoyed if you say anything about putting anybody under. So we don't go under, we go in. And I was like, okay. So he slaps my wrist if I say it. And it is understanding with hypnotherapy, it's just an inward state. That's all it is. It's just going inward, daydreaming. That's what it is. And realizing that we don't have control. We are the guide, and we help paint the picture. It is a real art form, but the client has control.
Yeah.
And I never use fast inductions, because I never ever want somebody to feel like I've got control. I always do very gentle, because I always want to make it feel like it's a spa treatment for the mind. I want it to feel lovely, and I know it takes longer. I don't care. I will put that time in, because I want people to feel safe and comfortable and make it a pleasant experience. But I'm not saying you can't use fast inductions. You can, but it's still realize you have got control. If you don't want to be hypnotized, you will not be hypnotized. Absolutely. We can't do anything about that. So yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions around that. As far as the spiritual work's concerned, sometimes I think one of the biggest misconceptions I come across actually is people just going, my spirit guides aren't helping me. Can't have spirit guides. My spirit guides are just ignoring me. It's like, well, one, you have to take some responsibility. This is your healing journey. This is your human experience. Spirit guides can't do anything unless you open the gates by loving yourself, and you give them permission and allow them in. They're just bugger all they can do. And they're not there to rescue you. You have to do the work. We're the spirit that's chosen to come and have this human experience. We've chosen to come and do this work. We have to do the work. They're there to support and guide. They're not here to rescue you. So I get a lot of that. it's not really misconceptions I get, but I get a lot of trolling from people around mother wound stuff. Like, how can you talk about mothers like this? You need to stop. This is bad, you know.
Yeah.
And I used to just block them all, but I don't now. I respond with assertive kindness. So I always speak from a loving point of view. And I will always say, you know, I work and support people who oftentimes have experienced deep abuse from a mother. And they need support, and they need to know they're not alone. Or even if you've just not had a very happy, healthy relationship, that's okay to acknowledge,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And it's yeah, so dealing with some of the trolls can be quite funny. What's wonderful about trolls is you get seen by so many more people once the trolls get involved. So
Yeah.
now I welcome them with open arms. I actually did a reel once just going, thank you. My message is getting to so many more people because of you. Thank you so much. And it really does. It helps. If you're getting trolled, you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. So, if someone wanted to do what you do, what would you advise them of where to start?
Um, what I do is quite different.
Yes.
So, you know, there's not many people. I mean, there are other people who do mother wound work. There's coaches and things. I don't know many that do it with the spiritual angle, or I don't know anyone who does it with connecting with spirit guides and that kind of thing. So it's a really hard question to answer, really. If you want to be a hypnotherapist, go and find a good course, like a good 10-month at least course where you have face-to-face interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Go and make sure the reviews are there. Go and see what the people are like, you know, because it's a very deeply personal journey as well,
Yeah.
training in hypnotherapy. So you've got to make sure you're with people you trust and feel safe with, and that are good at what they do. Get recommendations where you can. Because before learning with Angela, did a hypnotherapy course with somebody else and it wasn't good. So I would always, you know, do your research.
Yeah.
And make a decision from a very good place. I was not in a good place when I made that decision. The spiritual work, read some of the best spiritual teachers out there: Eckhart Tolle, Michael Singer, Abraham Hicks, Gabby Bernstein, Wayne Dyer, who I love and adore, bless him. Anita Mojani, absolutely adore that woman. Go and read all these spiritual teachings. Sid Banks, Michael Neal teaches Sid Banks stuff in a very relatable way. Go and find out about this stuff. Go and do your research. But I would always say, don't focus on any one particular kind of teaching. Go and explore, because what you'll find is they're all actually pointing to the same stuff. They just do it in a different way, and it'll deepen your understanding. Mediumship, come to me, come learn my course. I'm a great introduction to the rest of it. I see myself as the bridge to the deeper stuff. I'm that first step. But, you know, get involved with a good spiritual development circle. Find a really good teacher who teaches from love, who teaches from a loving perspective, who teaches you how to protect yourself, who will also teach you that it's okay to charge, that it isn't all about service. You'll get a lot of spiritual circles that are and spiritual teachers, it's all about service, it's all about service. You have to take care of yourself first, or you can't serve. And because I tend to work with empaths and highly sensitive people, you say service and they will put everybody else before themselves. So I always say to them, no, service is not the first focus. First focus is loving and honoring yourself, having kindness and compassion and tenderness for yourself. Then you will have the tools to serve others. But if you do not do that, don't work first, you won't. You'll burn yourself out.
Yeah.
So do the inner work. That's where I would start before any of it, to be fair. Do the inner work. Go and, if this therapy you want to be doing, get the therapy first. Do the work, because that's what where it all stems from. And you will find it's the thing that the pain that you got through, the thing that you healed from, will be the thing that you can help others with.
Yeah.
And it'll be the thing you've got the passion and drive to keep going. Because if you're going to start up your own business, it's hard. And you need to have something that you're deeply passionate about to keep the fire burning for those days when it gets hard. Otherwise, you'll not last more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
You need something to keep your fire burning, whether it's the particular technique or a particular issue. You need something that you're deeply passionate about to keep you going.
Absolutely. So speaking about being deeply passionate about everything that you do, can you tell us what inspires you and what motivates you to get up and do what you do?
Like I say, when I got contact with my mum, and for many years before that, I felt so alone. And I don't want anybody else to feel that. I felt so much shame and guilt and was such a people pleaser. I don't want anybody else to go through that. So that keeps me going. But also I get messages all the time from women just saying thank you. They don't always reach out and come and work with me, but they say thank you. Thank you for being the voice. Thank you for saying it. Thank you for giving me space. That really keeps me going. And on a purely selfish point, I am determined to get successful and have a successful business because I have a daughter who's on the autism spectrum and is learning disabled. And I cannot rely on the state to be looking after my daughter. I want to be able to do that without that, because state is not that reliable. And I don't want my daughter dependent on that stuff. I want to be able to give her the protection, the independence, the life that she deserves to have. So it's funny sometimes, people are like, how can you charge for this stuff? Well, one, because it's worth it. It's transformative. It's impactful. But two, I have bills to pay. But three, I have somebody who needs me and needs me to make sure her needs are going to be met for the rest of her life. And that keeps me going.
Definitely. It's a great motivator.
Certainly is.
Yeah, definitely.
Certainly is. Yeah.
So we're all about well-being here. So can you tell me what well-being means to you?
Well-being for me stems from self-love. I believe that's the whole reason we're here. We come from spirit to experience a human experience, to learn how to love ourselves, to learn how to love unconditionally. I kind of think of life as a computer game. And some people really laugh at me when I say this, but I do. I kind of think of life as a computer game. We come here, we choose the role, we choose the life, we choose some of the major hurdles, and then we come down and play the human game. And the way that we think and the way that we treat ourselves then really creates the experience that we have on this human game. And what's also really important to realize is everybody else's missions, everybody else is playing a different game.
Yeah,
because we all live in the experience of our thinking. One person's game is completely different from yours, so no judgment at all. It may be, but they need to do those things. Maybe they need to do some awful things because it then triggers some learning deeper along. We just don't know. And it enables me to really let go and not get angry or judgmental about things. But yeah, it's about self-love, and it's about allowing yourself to be peaceful. In fact, I'm going to do a post on this very soon. The focus is never on happiness for me. It's on peace. Yeah. Happiness is something that generally goes, can be fleeting, come in and out. And it tends to depend on outer circumstances, people generally. Peace is something that when you've got it, no matter what is going on, it will be there underlying all of it.
Yeah.
Then when you can really get that peace within, or as one of my clients said, when I got her really deeply connected with her own inner divinity in this inner peace, she called it her warm, fuzzy place. I love that.
Lovely.
Because that is what it feels like when you connect. It's kind of warm and fuzzy. And once for me, once you've got that foundation, like I'll always say to people, I love lots of spiritual practices, rituals and spells, all this kind of stuff. I think it's wonderful, but get that foundation first. Know that you are a spiritual being. Know that you have you are you are one with this loving universe. Know that you've got your spiritual team around you, so that when everything else falls away, just like it did for so many in COVID, you've got that there. That peace is there with you all the time. It's only ever a thought away. And that for me is where true well-being comes from. And it's realizing well-being is innate, it's built in. As a spiritual being, your natural setting is peace, calm, and joy. It is there for you all the time. We just get distracted from it, particularly when that egoic, noisy mind starts going. When you can start standing back and observing it, when you can get really present in the moment, when you can connect with your inner divinity, that peace is always there for you. It's inbuilt. That's why I hate phrases around mental illness. Mental wellness is what we need to be talking about.
Absolutely.
It's there. It's there for everybody. It's just some of us have got pulled away from it more than others. But it hasn't gone. You've just been made to look in the wrong direction.
I love that. No, that's really lovely. Yeah. It's like they say, I think there was a study done where someone that had extreme happiness and someone that had the exact opposite and a really bad thing going, your emotions, you plateau in the end and you'll come back to the same base happiness that you had all the way. So having that peace, like you say, constantly there. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
So you have touched on this already, but again, we're about wellbeing toolkit. So can you tell me what's in your wellbeing toolkit?
Where do I start? There's a lot in my wellbeing toolkit. I have a lot of tools I bring out, and I couldn't possibly reel them all off. It always depends on who's in front of me and what they need that day. But like I say, I have the serene way of working. So that's looking at stillness. So really realizing that you need to get still to really hear spirit, to really connect with yourself. And that's often when I teach people around the 3 principles and understanding you're living in the experience of your thinking, not your circumstance. And whilst that can really mess with your head for a little bit, once you get into it, it brings so much peace. Then we look at emotions and working with them rather than resisting them, rather than blocking them out or trying to remove them. They're telling you something, and it's learning to listen and work with them. Looking at reconnection, and reconnection is about connecting with your spirit guides again. And I say reconnection because they're always there. They always have been there. But also about reconnection with yourself, and particularly around the mother wounds, reconnecting with who you really are, not who you've been told you are. I was told I was selfish, I was a bad carer, I was this, I was that. And I had to find out for myself who I really was. Then there's energy, realizing that we're all energy, and how to protect your energy. So I give certain tools to help you protect your energy, manage. I talk about emotional spoons and making sure that you're protecting your spoons. So, and understanding how energy moves through us, and there's a whole lot goes on with that module that I work through. Now, presence, really so important to be aware of when you're going into the past, when you're going to the future, because that pulls you away from oneness. It pulls you away from peace. And the egoic mind loves it. It will do it all it can to get you away. So it's the importance of being present is something I work with people a lot. And then empowerment. And that's really owning who you are, loving who you are, whoever your quirks, the good, the bad, the ugly, love it all. Like I've worked with people when I talk about the egoic mind and knowing that you are so much more than that. You are not your mind, you are the observer of it. And so, I'll give it a name, I'll tell it to go away. No. We know it's you can get separate from it to an extent in that you can observe it, but no, it's also part of your human toolkit to manage being in this world. You couldn't manage being in it without it. So you can't reject it. You need to love it. and you start being able to observe it a bit. Like, I love Eckhart Tolle has a sentence in his book where you get to the point where you just smile at it like you would the antics of a small child. And you start feeling the same way about your noisy mind. Oh, it's up again. Doesn't mean you need to believe it. Doesn't mean you over identify with it, you know. And so yeah, there's a whole lot of tools. But and a lot of them are, for me, are based around certain spiritual principles, and yeah, powerful stuff though.
Yeah, sounds it. That's brilliant. And I'll have to get in contact with you to find out more.
Exactly.
So, are there any wellbeing resources that you can recommend for anybody? Any books or podcasts or anything like that?
Gosh, yes. Podcasts. I love Happy Place with Fern.
Me too.
Fern Cotton. I love Steve Bartlett's. He just comes at everything with such a beautiful curiosity. Definitely. I love it. I would always recommend going to check out Abraham Hicks. It's actually Esther Hicks's YouTube channel. Okay. You can read, because Abraham Hicks is a group of spirit energies that are channeled through Esther, and the books were written by her now deceased husband, and sometimes the books I found quite hard to consume, but if you actually listen to them being channeled directly with Esther, it's just hilarious. They're hilarious. And what the wisdom that comes through is absolutely beautiful. I would read Michael Neal's book, which is called The Inside Out Revolution. Sid Banks's book. He's got several, or his lectures. If you go to Sid Banks passed a few years ago now, but if you can go and watch him talk and his lectures on the Sid Banks website, beautiful. Wayne Dyer, always go and listen to him. Anita Mojani's books, Dying to Be Me, Is This Heaven, and Sensitive is the New Strong. Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, is profound. Michael Singer's book, Untethered Soul. I could go on for quite a while. But it's just go and explore these books. There's a reason that they're so popular, because they really do have such deep, wonderful insight. They're definitely worth checking out. And I listen to them all on Audible, because apart from Michael Singer's book is read by somebody else, and it's a bit odd, but all the other books are read by the author, and you can feel their energy coming through, and it's beautiful. I could listen to Wayne Dyer talk all day. And since he's passed, his daughters have written a book called The Knowing, which is also really powerful, really beautiful book.
Fantastic.
So yeah,
Brilliant.
I could keep going. I've got a whole library.
That's all right, I'm just as bad.
Yeah.
I'll pop all of the information about all the books and podcasts and information that you've mentioned at the end of this as well, so anybody can have a look and check them out. And
there's some other wonderful podcasts. There's if you're going through the menopause, women empowerment, Kylie Pratchett. I will give you the link to hers, because I did an interview with her, and she's awesome. Brilliant. And there's other people that do do some other lovely podcasts. Lisa Williams does one that's really lovely. Helen Pinkett does, I think she's in and out with hers at the minute. There's some really lovely podcasts that are much smaller and less known, but equally beautiful to listen to. So yeah, definitely go and check those out as well.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I'll definitely pop all them on the end of this, and I'll be listening myself, I think so.
Yeah, they are really good.
So have you got any exciting new projects coming up that you want to tell us about?
So I have, because the Serene Way I've been developing with the founding members over the last 6-7 months. So when they first came on, there was nothing there, and they've been with me as I've developed it and put it together. So now it's put together. I will be launching it again in September for a whole new cohort of people. Anybody who finishes the course will then join my Serene Way Inner Circle if they wish, where my founding members, hopefully many of them, will still be there, because all about building up this community and this support. So yeah, that is going to be launching in September. So I will be advertising, and you will be able to book in over the summer. It is a 7-month, 7-step program with lots of pre-recorded content that you can access at a time that suits you. So it's really flexible. But we also have every other week on a Wednesday evening UK time, we have a 2-hour session together, which can be meditations and reading, lots of coaching going on, and really building the bonds and sharing experiences. They're really beautiful sessions. I absolutely love them. And it will, because it's the first time it's run as a program, I'm sure there'll be more. It will be enhanced. It will be developing as I go along. I'll also be offering a VIP option to have one-to-one support as you go through the group as well. Not to everybody, that will only be open to a small amount of people. So yeah, so that's coming. It's very exciting. And I do have, there will be some special offers coming into my Serene Spiritual Empowered group on Facebook in the next couple of weeks. I'm still deciding on exactly what they are. So it's really worth getting in there to see what, because that's where I put all my offers first. Everything goes to them, those beautiful women first, and then I put it out. Because I love my community, so I make sure they get everything first.
It's definitely worth joining, everybody.
It's a lovely community. I just love it.
It is.
I love it.
Fantastic. Okay, so is there anything else that we haven't covered that you would like to say, whether it be around well-being?
I think I've talked. I think I can talk, but yeah, because I'm passionate about this stuff. I love it.
Absolutely. Okay, no problem. Well, thank you so much for doing this today and for passing that message on. It's been lovely talking to you again. And as I say, I'll pop all of Geraldine's contact information on the end of this so you can reach out and get in contact with her, and please join that Facebook group because it's fantastic.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you so much.